When it comes to iconic Christmas specials, there are very few that can compete with Rankin Bass, telling wholesome holiday tales that manage to impart a little lesson or two, and usually accompanied by charming but jerky stop motion on top of that. They managed to hit it out of the park time and time again when it came to their Christmas fare, as I've gone over in many videos. And one of their more famous is most definitely The Year Without a Santa Claus, if only for the depiction of the famous Miser brothers and their never-ending rivalry over whether or not winter or summer is superior. But when you really take a step back and actually look at the special, it honestly has a lot more to offer besides the Miser brothers, even if they're still one of the best aspects of it. And today, I'd like to go over The Year Without a Santa Claus and specifically everything that makes it such a great Christmas special, and among the best Rankin Bass ever made. And needless to say, there will be spoilers for the special ahead, so if you don't want to know how it ends, don't proceed with this video. Consider this your spoiler warning. Okay, so as I just noted, the Miser brothers are definitely a major reason why The Year Without a Santa Claus is such an iconic special. I mean, where else are you ever going to get to see the embodiments of summer and winter fighting it out in a hammy battle for superiority, all the while singing equally over-the-top songs about why they love their given position so much? But at the same time, the way they behave is exactly how you'd expect said seasons to act if they were given human form, which is what helps make them so funny. And, of course, their conflict being resolved by the intervention of Mother Nature herself is not only hilarious because of the context involved, as the whole thing basically amounts to the two of the most powerful beings alive throwing a childish tantrum and their mother having to give them a timeout to stop it, but it's also surprisingly philosophical as well. Because it is true, summer and winter may be two of the most powerful forces out there, but both must ultimately bow to Mother Nature itself, as neither are powerful enough to overcome it and be where they aren't supposed to. And it's honestly in that very symbolism and philosophy that makes The Year Without a Santa Claus as great as it is. And another good example of that is the scene where Iggy's father sings about believing in Santa Claus, because while at first glance it's just another dime a dozen scene trying to encourage children to believe in Saint Nick, what the scene is actually saying is a lot deeper. Because sure, it is most definitely telling children they should believe in Santa Claus, but there's a lot more to it than just that. Because you can honestly take the name Santa Claus and the other Christmas-related lyrics and swap them out with almost anything else, and the song remains virtually the same. What I'm trying to say here is, under that Christmas layer, the song is actually saying that it's important to believe in something that's good, even if you can't prove its existence through logic. Because even if Santa Claus isn't real, the sentiments and values that he represents are worth believing in regardless, ultimately making the immortal question irrelevant. Because when most adults say, I believe in Santa Claus, they may not mean it literally, but they still have no shame in saying it because Santa Claus is the embodiment of things worth believing in. And once again, that meaning obviously extends far beyond just Christmas and Santa Claus himself. And while most people would be quick to jump on the song as a religious allegory, and not unreasonably so as it easily fits the same molding, it can honestly apply to anything that represents something good. In the end, the words of Iggy's father are trying to tell the audience that it's better to believe in something, even when the thing itself may not be real, because the idea behind it is something worth believing in. And on an even more basic level, it's also saying that believing in something, anything, is better than not believing in anything at all. And it does a particularly good job of conveying that because before that scene, Iggy is just one of countless misbehaving kids that scoffs at the idea of Santa Claus. But after hearing the words of his father, now he's nicer, now he has drive, and he wants to help Santa Claus by showing that the world still cares about him. In other words, when you don't believe in anything, nothing matters. others, and that mindset usually causes one to slip into apathy. But when one believes in something good, even if they aren't actually sure of its existence, it inspires them to want to spread that good onto others. Now obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, as there are always outliers, but on the whole it's a pretty good message to teach, especially to children. Because in many ways, belief in something good is what kept the human race going, and it's something that should never be forgotten. Whether it's a belief in religion, something simpler, something more abstract, or something as childish as Santa Claus, it's always good to believe, and not be ashamed of that belief either. Everybody needs motivation sometimes, and regardless of what it is or where it comes from, a belief in something is often a very good place to start. And on that topic, that leads right into probably the most overlooked, but perhaps best part of this special, which is Santa Claus himself. Once again voiced to perfection by Mickey Rooney, who was probably one of the best voices for Santa Claus ever, as I went into in my video on Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which you can find a link in the description to. Though that's not to say that the rest of the voice cast isn't great as well, as Rankin Bass once again killed it when it came to their voices for everyone, to the kind and caring Mrs. Claus, to the neurotic Jingle and Jangle, to the over-the-top Heat and Snow Misers. This special has a cast that would be the envy of most Christmas specials. But the point is that Rooney's reprising his role of Santa in particular is notable because of how well it contrasts with his last performance as him, and really shows his range as an actor as a result. Because in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, he voices a young, energetic, and enthusiastic Santa that's determined to bring happiness and joy to all he comes across at any cost. But in The Year Without a Santa Claus, he's now an older, more world-weary Santa that's starting to wonder if he's even needed in the world anymore, if people even care about what he represents, and if anybody actually still appreciates what he's done for them. And it's in that depiction more than anything else that I'd argue for this special's merits, because Santa's position is honestly a perfectly understandable one. I mean, he's dedicated his entire extended life to making sure every nice kid's Christmas is the best it can possibly be, and he asks for nothing in return. Not that he wants anything, of course, since he does it simply because he loves children that much, but his children and adults alike continue to stop believing in him and insist he doesn't exist, which in this special is shown to be a very real problem. Who can really blame him for getting discouraged and start wondering if children even care about him anymore? Again, he dedicates everything to them, and as far as he can tell, they don't even care. And honestly, the fact that he takes it as well as he does is a testament to just how good Santa really is, as well as sends a very healthy message on top of that. That even Santa Claus can get discouraged. Even somebody as perpetually happy and symbolic of everything that is good as him can become depressed and wonder if what he's doing is worth it. And again, that's a very important moral because it's one that's very accurate to real life. Even the best people among us are still only human, and sometimes not only need encouragement, but also need to be shown a little appreciation every once in a while, even when they don't ask for it. But even if you take his depiction in the special completely at face value, it's still a very compelling one. Because seeing Santa Claus, a friend to all children that represents all the joy and wonder that comes with Christmas, feeling so down in the dumps and worthless is pretty sobering. Not only because it's once again sadly accurate to real life, but just seeing for how easily the Christmas magic can fade away even for the man who's meant to be the embodiment of it. But being a kid's special, and Rankin Bass on top of that, it at least doesn't go too far in this department and still makes it clear that even at his saddest, Santa is still the eternally nice friend of every child. And Mickey Rooney's performance also goes a long way in conveying that as well. Basically, the point is that the Year Without a Santa Claus switches things up by having the special be about others trying to save Santa's Christmas and good spirit, rather than Santa scrambling to save everybody else's Christmas as is usually done, and goes about it very effectively. Unlike another terrible Christmas movie I covered, which you could also find a link in the description to if you're curious. Because in addition to all the trouble Mrs. Claus, Jingle, Jangle, and Iggy go through to show Santa that he's still loved and wanted, the reversal of children all around the world sending things to him when they hear he's upset, and this bringing back his spirit and motivating him to go on the yearly ride he said he would skip, is not only very touching, but the perfect way to end the special. Because as I noted before, Santa, just like everybody else, just needed to know that he was still loved and needed, and when that's proven to him to an even greater extent than he thought, all of his doubts and depression disappear in an instant, and the old Santa Claus that everybody knows and loves comes back at full force. And as a result, just as Mrs. Claus notes, there will never be a year without a Santa Claus. So as I said at the start, while they are a ton of fun and easily steal every scene they're in, The Year Without a Santa Claus has a lot more to offer as a Christmas special than just the Miser Brothers, which may speak to just how well it's made. I mean, sure, it's still got plenty of that Rankin Bass simplicity, but it still has a lot of surprisingly good and important messages to send to the audience, from the fact that even the best of us need encouragement sometimes, to just the general need to believe in general. It's all there. And the results prove that even if the story was about the time there almost wasn't a Santa Claus on Christmas, it was still a story most definitely worth telling regardless. Okay, I think that just about covers everything. So now I'd like to hear what you guys think. Do you believe that The Year Without a Santa Claus is one of the best Christmas specials Rankin Bass ever made, and perhaps one of the best Christmas specials out there in general? For any or all of the reasons I went over, or do you believe it's simply average fun and that I'm reading way too much into it? Please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as I always say, you most definitely don't have to agree with any opinions expressed in this video if you don't want to. You can feel about The Year Without a Santa Claus any way you'd like, and if you think I had it all wrong, that is totally fine. And thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate all of it, and I hope to see you all next time.